Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Live presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Kevin. I joined by my co-host, Allen Strk. We are here to bring you our Falcons versus Commanders Week 4 post-game show. The Falcons offense bounced back in a huge way today, putting up 34 points and covering up for, I think, a week, probably the worst outing so far for the defense, who I don't think they were bad, but definitely looked more mortal today. And the offense was able to carry the load more today. They were able to take advantage and really string some drives together. Michael Pennix had a big bounce back game. That was probably the most important thing we needed to see going into this one. Alan, nice to be talking about a win going into the bye, because as we said before the show, a loss going into the bye is like the worst thing ever for content creators and fans, because it's like now we got to just sit in this like negativity for 2 weeks. Don't have to do that this week. How are you feeling?
Yeah, especially given that it's a bye week, going to a Monday night game against arguably the best team in the league, if not the second best team in the league. But nevertheless, we're here. Got representing John Abraham today. If you haven't read the article on The Athletic, highly recommended. Dan Pompey, fantastic piece. Victory beers, long overdue.
Yes.
It's fall season, folks. So, wow, the Falcons offense, where do you begin? Because they set the standard today. They set the lowest standard last week. I think today they set the highest standard. I can't recall a game where Kyle Pitts and Drake London made so many big plays in the same game. I don't know if we've ever seen in a game where Bijan, London, and Pitts have scored a touchdown. If I'm wrong, call me out for it, but I feel like they haven't done that. So the fact that they did that before the fourth quarter is a testament to just how awesome all three guys were. The offensive line, I thought, really held their own. Even when the Commanders were bringing pressure, because you knew Dan Quinn was going to blitz because they don't have quite the horses up front to generate with four, I thought they held up relatively well against the blitz. But I think it was just most refreshing seeing Drake London back in full force, because he's had a quiet start this season. But I'm all in on Kyle Pitts being a changed man this year. I think Kyle Pitts is here to stay. So
Yeah. The confidence level. That's just what, and I feel like that was always like partially what it was with Pitts, is that he could feel like players aren't robots, guys. Like they have emotions. They are human beings. Like you could tell, like Arthur Smith had lost faith in him, wasn't willing to design an offense for him. The quarterbacks weren't willing to throw it to him. That weighs on you. And like, yeah, you hope an NFL player can kind of work through that. And like, he certainly worked through it last year and was fine. But having like real confidence behind you from top down, and mostly the quarterback, like it makes a huge difference. And that's what I think we're seeing. The biggest change is like he's healthy, like he's further removed from that devastating knee injury that the Falcons did him kind of a disservice by downplaying that also. That was a catastrophic knee injury, and it was going to take multiple years for him to come back fully. Pitts deserves props. I think he is the number 2 like receiving game, like pure receiving game target at this point. I mean, Darnell Mooney leaves this game with an injury. Pitts really steps up, I think, into that number 2 target role. Obviously, like Bijan is arguably the number 1 target. Yeah, I mean, like Bijan is he talked a lot about becoming a Christian McCaffrey type of player, and he is. I mean, he absolutely is. That is the type of role he's playing. He had more receiving yards than rushing yards today. He's a do-it-all guy, and there's just so many good things to say about this offense. A week after we couldn't find one good thing to say about the offense, it's quite the turnaround. And like you said, when you score 0 points, it's easy to be better than that. But, it seems like the team took this seriously, which is good. I wish we didn't have to have this. And again, I think it touches on what we discussed last week, which is like, these guys need to maintain their focus after a big win. And I think that's maybe the biggest issue that we saw last week is like these guys, I think, didn't take that Panthers game as seriously as they should have. Now when they get kicked in the nuts and they're able to focus up and get back on the horse against the Commanders. But like, it's your job as a coaching staff to keep these guys focused and keep everything on track. And hopefully last week was the lesson they needed, and we don't have that problem anymore.
This might sound like a cliche, but I do think this ultimately comes down to just the quarterback play. Like Michael Penix was just non-viable last week. Like you watch the tape, he just missed so many throws. And like I just think from the jump, right from the first drive, you can see the confidence throwing to the middle of the field, because like everyone wants to see when he's going to start making those intermediate throws. Of course, you want to see a deep shots, which are there. Love the double move that Drake London put on Marshawn Lattimore while getting held. I love the fact that both London and Pitts had highlight reel plays while being held. That's what made it even more impressive. To me, my favorite Pitts play was the one, I think, was on Reeves, where Reeves clearly held him. Some people thought Pitts pushed off, but he was clearly getting held
Yeah.
He still wins at the catch point. He just looks so much more explosive. But I do think a lot of this performance just comes down to Penix. I thought other than interception, he was lights out. He just looked in total command.
Yeah, I think Pitts is where we'll go first here because I think that's the most important thing that we needed to see this week was Michael Penix. Penix, not Pitts. There's a lot of P names in this offense. We're going to navigate them as best we can. As long as we don't make the unfortunate typo with Penix's name, then we'll be okay. But real quick.
Please tell me the IASs. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. We're going to get to that real quick, guys. Before we do, want to bring you a real quick word from today's sponsor, ZipRecruiter, folks. It's a tough spot if you're hiring right now. It's tough to find the right candidate. It's tough to get the right people to apply. It's tough to sort through all those resumes and get in touch with the right people. It's tough, right? So what you should do is look to ZipRecruiter because the future of hiring looks a lot brighter. They've got new tools, new features. They help you speed up finding the right people for your roles. So you save valuable time. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. With ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with qualified candidates in just minutes. Over 320,000 new resumes are added to ZipRecruiter monthly, which means you can reach more potential hires and fill those roles faster than ever. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. And at ZipRecruiter.com/audio, you can save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ZipRecruiter.com/audio right now, you could try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. All right. So I know we got a ton of donations. We're going to talk about Michael Penix first because I feel like that's the topic we gotta hit, and then we'll get to all of your donations. Thank you guys so much for that. We do appreciate that. But like you said it, Alan. I mean that you can overcome a lot if your quarterback is playing lights out. And it's a lot to put on the plate of what's essentially a rookie quarterback in Michael Penix to overcome schematic weaknesses and receivers not playing well. And he wasn't able to do it last week, and he wasn't playing very well himself. So when you get that and the rest of the offense kind of slumping, that's a recipe for that big egg-laying adventure that we saw in week 3. This week, different story. I thought we saw some small steps by Zach Robinson. The communication seemed better all around. And Michael Penix played lights out, aside from one interception where I'm pretty sure he just didn't see the corner, which is unfortunate. Because the broadcast was saying oh, he saw him and he thought he could float it over him. He didn't try to float that pass at all. He did not see that corner.
But what was even more bizarre is that it was a clean pocket and it was off play action.
Yeah.
I'm just here's one of the times they used play action, and now it leads there. Now the Pitts touchdown was off play action at least, and what was cool is Pitts was actually an inline tight end, which he held this block, and then you see usually with this tight ends they'll hold it for a second or two and then eke out in the flat. So both positives and negatives of play action, but I think they were. What's surprising? I was listening to Ted DeWitt on the Athletic talk about this. The Falcons are actually 22nd in play action rate. I thought they were 30th to 32nd because they use it so minimally. But I guess they use it slightly more. But hopefully this interception doesn't lead to less play action because this offense, especially the way they're running the ball, dial up the play action.
Yeah, they have to. And I think they did utilize, like you said, they used some more of those plays this week. I think they need to continue doing that. I think the tight end leak to Kyle Pitts that we saw go for the touchdown here, that has to be a staple. That needs to be a staple of your playbook, and I think they should run it to Werner too. Werner doesn't give you the receiving chops. Kyle Pitts after the catch has been awesome this year, so that's been great to see. But I do think they can do some misdirection stuff in short yardage with throwing to Charlie Werner, which they really haven't done this year, and all those things. But ultimately, the run game was awesome pretty much all day. Bijan had a special game on the ground, had an awesome game as a pass catcher, and really just Penix was dealing. He was taking those shots and hitting those shots and making some tough throws, putting some great placement on a few of these passes. That Bijan swing route, that was picture perfect placement. Threw an absolute laser over the field, middle of the field to Drake London at one point. And I'm sure that was a point of emphasis this week that we can't be afraid to attack the middle. And that deep ball to Drake London was absolutely stride for stride perfect throw. This was the type of game that we were more used to seeing from Pennix, and this is also the type of game that we've seen from Pennix a lot more than we saw last week. Last week is the clear outlier for Michael Penix, so it kind of shocked me that people were really like getting on Pennix for that. And it was a terrible game, like don't get me wrong, but we've seen far more good than bad from Pennix, so I think patience was the right call after last week. And those of you that did not panic about Michael Penix after week 3, you've been shown to be most likely correct, that Penix just had a bad game. And it does happen, especially to young quarterbacks. I mean, I remember Matt Ryan throwing 5 picks against the Cardinals. He won that game, though. But
that was the 2012 season, too.
Yeah.
Like, that was a really good team. But yeah, it was a 6th start, and I just think the caliber of opponent. Like, I think if that happened against like the Vikings, I don't think people would be losing their minds. But just, I know this would be 10,000 jokes off the Panthers later, because boy, what a performance by them today. But I think if it wasn't against the Panthers, I think there would be less outrage. It was just, I think it was because of Panthers. And if you watch tape, like Panthers didn't sack them. I think they had maybe 1 hit on Penix the entire game. So the fact that Penix struggled that much with good pass protection, and we haven't really slew the offensive line yet, but the offensive line, I thought, other than a few pressures because Washington blitz, I thought they played another clean game. Elijah Wilkinson, you don't see him on the field, and that's a good thing. You see him make a difference as a run blocker on the touchdown with Bijan. I know Bijan, Jesus, those jump cuts.
Oh my God, he is terrifying. Like if I was playing defense, I'd be like, "Nah, coach, my knee. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I don't want to be on his highlight reel. What are you talking about?"
So like the offensive line, they're doing their thing. Like Newsell's starting to get comfortable. I think Bergeron's bouncing back after a difficult start. Matthews still reliable. So look, the offense is firing all cylinders. You need an offensive line that's in cohesion and just making those saw blocks, whether it's running through pistol or maybe a little bit going more under center, hopefully. But overall, like you just have to be thrilled about how they're holding it together, because I think with Penix, even when he was pressured, like I love the fact that he stood tall in the pocket and he hit Casey Washington like a nice out route. And I think Charlie Warner blew a blitz pickup responsibility of Bobby Wagner. And that was just one of those moments where it's just like, okay, he's hanging in tough. He's not panicking. So I just think when you have a quarterback in command and offensive line that looks pretty unified right now, and then the playmakers doing what they're doing, this is how the offense is going to hit their peak. And you saw it on full display today.
Yeah. I think I think this is maybe a sign that a lot of the issues last week did have to do with the communication errors. I mean, like Penix just looked completely out of sorts. Like he didn't know where to go with the ball. The calls were coming in late. Like it was all going wrong. And I think, the Falcons, I think with Zach Robinson moving to the sideline, who knows how much that actually matters like long term, but they knew that they needed to get the call in faster and they needed to communicate more effectively with Michael Penix what was going on, to fix issues or whatever you say. But the communication was clearly there. The calls were in on time. And I think that's critical for a young quarterback. You need to make sure that he's comfortable. You need to give him opportunities to survey the field, find his keys before there's 2 seconds on the play clock. That's going to produce much better results for you than Penix is advanced for a young quarterback, but you still shouldn't be putting that type of stuff on him like they were doing against the Panthers and even against the Vikings last week to some extent. They had to improve that communication. They had to make Penix more comfortable, and I think they did a great job of that this week.
Absolutely. And I think also with Zach Robinson, he opened up the playbook a little bit more, and it was just good to see him pinpointing mismatches. As great as Bobby Wagner is, he's much more effective in between the numbers, as a run stopper or as a blitzer. He's really still good at taking on blocks. But if you force Bobby Wagner to make plays side to the sideline, it's going to be a problem. They hit hits on one that went for a first down, and then the Bijan wheel route was essentially, I think it was Casey Washington, Drake London. They were running the shallow crosses, and then it just isolated. You would force Bobby Wagner to have to evade both of them and then try to pick up Bijan Robinson, and that wasn't going to happen. So just picking up on that, that's what you want to see. Look at what opposing teams' weaknesses are, and let's utilize our special playmakers. And I also love the fact that they're getting Bijan on these delayed routes. They're utilizing him in the slot. They're using. Did you notice they use a lot more stack formations in this game too?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was beneficial.
I think so. I think that was helpful with creating some spacing and getting things the way they wanted, lined up a little bit better pre-snap. And again, I think they made the right call once again. You're just going to lean on the run game, and I think they've been a little over-reliant on it, especially in short yardage. Like, in 3rd and 1, you need to make the defense defend the whole field. You can't just, like, that's the one biggest thing that I have is, like, in short yardage, this Falcons team is still running the ball, like, 85% of the time or something or more. And you should lean run on 3rd and 1. Like, there's a reason, like, that you do that. But they need to have some plays mixed in where, like, if you're getting multiple 3rd and 1s on the same drive, you can go to something else. And again, that Kyle Pitts tight end leak is so strong. Like, if your run game is strong enough, it's really tough to defend that and defend the run. You have to pick, and teams are going to lean towards defending the run almost every time. So, especially now that you've got Kyle Pitts involved as a blocker, like, he doesn't leave the field on rundowns. That is such a lethal play. I just need them to start incorporating that a little bit more, and I think that will help their short yardage immensely, because Pitts isn't a giveaway like he was in years past, where if he's out there, he's going to go catch a pass. He's playing on pretty much, the majority of snaps. It doesn't matter if it's a run or a pass. Pitts is going to be out there. He's a serviceable blocker. That adds to your ability to confuse defenses, and I think that's the counterpunch I'd like to see, like, going forward, is having some short yardage plays to your tight end, especially when you have one as good after the catch suddenly as Kyle Pitts, who's been one of the best after the catch tight ends in the NFL so far.
More deception, the better, because you saw at the beginning of the game they had the stats where how frequently they're running from the pistol, how frequently they're throwing using shotgun. And by the way, Iron Eagle and JJ Watt, they found a gem with those two. I thoroughly enjoyed their call.
Yeah, they were fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like we have our share of Falcon games. I'm not going to put anyone on blast, but like Fox has their broadcasting tandems that leave a lot to be desired. But CBS, it was a joy listening to them. And I love the fact that they really just identify, like, this team is starting to get predictable. How are ways they're going to utilize more deception? And I did think Zach Robinson mixed it up a bit, and the balance was great. Like the fact that I think at one point it was like 18-18 in terms of pass attempts and carries. So I think when your offense is thriving, there's got to be a bounce there. So hugely impressive. I think we also got to give a shout to Tyler Algier. I don't know what defensive backs look. I know it's hard being a safety. I know it's hard being a core, but like, why are you going to lower your shoulder when Tyler Algier is fully accelerated? You just know you're going to go flying. Like on that touchdown run, I'm just like, what is Jeremy Reeves thinking? Like, at least attempt to wrap him up. Lower your shoulder to Tyler Algier going full speed. Like,
that's not good. That's not going to happen. That's not working. That's not going to work.
The man's a locomotive. Like the guy just ran past Von Miller. Like Von Miller couldn't even bring him down. Yeah. So yeah, huge kudos to Tyler Algier, and once again, he's that fourth quarter closer.
Yeah.
You saw when the defense is worn out. You saw in the Vikings game, he's gonna start breaking up the big plays, and let's enjoy every bit of it, because I don't think he'll be here next year. So let's not to be a buzzkill, but like let's enjoy that, because like he's such a fantastic talent, and I think when the Falcons offense at their best, he's usually getting 10+ carries, because that means they're playing the lead.
Yeah. I love Tyler Algier. I've been sad that like he's basically just primed for that role, and he's just never really been able to do it here in Atlanta. It's just been so rare. It's nice that 2 games now the Falcons have been able to salt away a lead out of 4, when I feel like we got like one of those last year. I think it was the Giants game. That was like it. That was the only one the Falcons were kind of able to salt away a lead. So
the Carolina game,
that's right.
Game,
yeah,
I think they ran for like combined over 200 yards.
Yeah.
It didn't even look like professional football. It looked like just a bully ball.
Yeah, so that's always nice to see. Let's get to some of these donations. Thank you guys so much for that. Appreciate you. We got, let's see, Machine Learning Brilliance with the $5 saying, I'll take the win quietly. No complaints except Raheem needs to go. Look, I mean...
Oh, that timeout. Oh,
yeah,
man.
That was not good game management. If you can go one of 2 ways there. You can say you're just content to go into the half and you just want the clock to run out, and you want to be conservative. That's fine. That's not necessarily my bent, but that's fine. Lots of coaches would agree with you. Or you could take the timeout, and then any time you get, you're going to go guns blazing and try to score before the half. Raheem went conservative and then went aggressive with 20 seconds left. Like, that's just, it's completely incongruent. There's no consistency. Like, pick a strategy. And you don't have to pick it every time, but like in that moment, like when he chose not to take the timeout, he was choosing to go into the half. And he was like, actually, no, I'd like to play it. You don't do that. Like, you almost gave the ball back to the Commanders. Like, it's incongruent. That's the biggest issue I have with it. Do I like love the conservative decision? No. But like, if you're going to make it, just stick with it. Like, play it out. Don't try to
decisive.
reverse it after, like, yeah, I mean, just come on, buddy.
I think the best coaches are proactive, and too many times Raheem is reactive. And
Yeah.
that was one of those moments. It was just like, it is so glaringly obvious. Like, I was surprised Quinn wasn't calling timeouts, and it's just the irony. Like, those two were questioning timeout usage between two guys that, let's just say, this fan base has seen a lot of over the past decade. So, that was definitely one frustrating moment. But
yeah,
it just didn't. I think someone posted. Did they hire like a?
I think they do have one. Yeah. I don't know if that guy's locked in a closet like Thomas Dimitroff during the NFL draft or what, but they should get that guy involved more. Or if he's the one, if he's the one making these decisions, I think we need to move on. So, if anything, we should be calling for the game management coach to be fired, whoever that is. I don't even remember.
I know those Sunday deals when it comes to Mercedes-Benz Superdome, like those food deals are exceptional. Like if we were there, we would literally be living at the food court. But man, you got to be alert those moments. It's 2 minutes. And I think with Washington, like last year, I know look, Jay Daniels didn't play, but Washington, they were like the best team in one possession games last year. Like, this team is known for literally winning one possession games. That's why there were certain moments in the game. It was a little frustrating. Like Brandon Dorlus missed the sack on Mariota that he should be getting every time at least 3 points. It's just those little margins. And look, I know Washington was beat up offensively, but this is still a team that is very much competitive, and they're going to be a tough out. So I still think this is not just because the offense put on such a show, but just in general, this is a very encouraging win, because that team's difficult to play against. We know how good their coaching is, and their A+ talent is going to bring it.
Yeah, no, that is a critical one. You just needed to find a way to win. Marcus Mariota is in a system that's perfect for him, with just weapons out the wazoo and just a really well-coordinated run game. And you can see, like, he can be very functional. I mean, they put up 40 last week against
Raiders.
The Raiders, yeah, which, I mean, it's the Raiders. Like, I get it. But, like, still, like, a backup quarterback doesn't put up 40 points. Like, Mariota is playing at a starting caliber level. I think Mariota's issue is just if he loses confidence, then it's all over. So he's in a great situation in Washington. I hope that he has success there. So
he's always gone for a turnover, and we saw it on the overthrow.
Yeah, that was an ugly one. He should have thrown one to Diablo. Almost had a crazy play on that one too, but that would have been crazy. But let's see. We got we're gonna talk about the defense a little bit after this, guys. But we got Rise Up RX ends with a 5. Thank you, saying we dominated, but also couldn't close in the key moments. Got to be more crisp. Also, what the hell was that in? How can we let Mariota have that kind of success? Mariota didn't really have success. I mean, I think honestly, like, Deebo Samuel made some just absurd catches. Like, those passes were not like. Props, they were like just where he could catch him, but Deebo had to make some insane catches. Like, Mariota was not making it easy on him. And I think the Commanders only had like, what was it? Commanders only had 147 passing yards, and a lot of them came on that last drive, which was basically like the Falcons were giving up the underneath pretty freely on that drive. So they had the exact same number of passing and rushing yards, actually. 147 passing, 147 rushing. So, yeah, I mean, the Falcons probably going to stay the NFL's number 1 pass defense. I've never heard anyone say that about the Falcons defense. Like, oh, this Falcons number 1 pass defense, you can't throw against them. I'm like, is this bizarro world? Like, what the hell is going on that we're talking about the Falcons defense being number 1 in pass? I don't think that's going to hold up all year, but that's still impressive. 4 weeks into the season, they're probably going to remain the NFL's number 1 pass defense.
And AJ Terrell's missed, what, like 10 quarters?
Yeah. So, yeah, D. Alford got worked by Deebo, but like, I don't think he had bad coverage most of the time. I again, that's a tough matchup, and Deebo's one of the more unique wide receivers in the NFL. I just, Mike Hughes made a mistake on that deep play. Not really sure why he bit so hard on the short play when he's running full speed. Like, again,
down nonetheless.
Yeah, it's like, bro, he's running full speed. This is Deebo Samuel. This isn't like Terry McLaurin who's going to run a stop on you. Like, this is Deebo. Deebo's a big boy right now, okay? He's not going to be able to hit that. Like, so, yeah, just a big mistake, but, yeah.
I think 2 drives before, he made a great play on a 3rd down. I forgot who the receiver was, maybe one of the rookies, but it was a goal ball, and, like, his positioning couldn't have been any better. Like, he didn't get grabbed. He just used his body and just framed the receiver out of the play. And then he had a great, not a punch out, but I don't even think you call it a pass breakup, but I think Luke McCaffrey was like on a looping deep over where I thought McCaffrey was about to grab it, and then he just swiped it out at the last minute. Like Mike Hughes was playing great until that touchdown. I'm just like, it's one of those unfortunate moments. But secondary, I just think they just seem to be always on point under Jeff Ulbrich. Like they're handling screens really well. You don't see them out of position there. Other than like Xavier Watts missed a bad tackle, but that was against the run, and like we could criticize them against the run, but overall this secondary, like I can't count many glaring breakdowns. Like last year, and I hate always having to reference Jimmy Lake's defense, but there were just so many glaring breakdowns last year. This year, like even the Bucks game, like both of their touchdowns to Emeka Ibuka were actually throwing balls, and Ibuka just made incredible individual plays. Like other than maybe the Justin Jefferson before the half, where he was wide open against cover 2, I think it was like on a deep post. Like I can't recall any like huge breakdowns from the secondary, and I think that's probably one of the most refreshing things about this team is just how well organized they are defensively.
Yeah. There was Ulbrich had one like borderline psychotic play that was the Mariota scramble on like 3rd and 14, where he called man coverage and blitzed Divine Diablo at the same time. This is insane. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life, and that did not work. You can't do both against a running quarterback. You could play man, but then you have to leave a spy in. Or you can play zone and blitz your linebacker that's your spy. You can't do both at once. That's insane behavior by Jeff Ulbrich.
I'm going to look at the positive here. Use it as a teachable moment because you can absolutely not do that against Josh Allen in 2 weeks.
You can't do that.
Jeff Ulbrich had plenty of experience going against Josh Allen with the Jets. So just teachable moment. I know he wants to get creative with these blitzes because I think the most disappointing part of this game was pass rush was in terms of front four, which is non-existent. This is the second week now where I just didn't feel like the rookies really brought it. The interior pressure wasn't really there. Unless they dialed it up, like they had a nice twist with Rojo and Kay Nellis. By the way, do you think Kay Nellis, I think, probably the best defensive player this year? Every game he's bringing it.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ulbrich. Like I'm gonna get on him for that play call because I wonder if he was like, this is so insane. They would never expect this A-gap. I'm going to do it. Like, let's go. I think he's been feeling himself, and he deserves it. Like, the defense has been playing lights out, but maybe, like, back off of that, like, just a little bit. Like,
I thought maybe he wanted to do everything possible to get Mariota riled because, when Mariota doesn't handle pressure well, he holds on the ball for too long, and he has a propensity to fumble. So I can see why Ulbrich was just letting it loose. And you're going to pay the price it ties, but look, it paid off in the end. Mariota was going to make that one mistake, and that's what you wanted to see. So, there's definitely frustrating aspects about the defense, but I think we know how well coached Washington is offensively. And I think their offensive line is pretty good, especially with Tunsil there now.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to be too critical defense. It's just you kind of wanted to see more from the front four, and I do think they are like teetering with the offer. I did think at times the offer was a big liability in this game, and you just hope Terrell could be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they just kind of have to get by with D, and D I think acquitted himself really well last week and played at a level that they needed him to play this week. But again, Adrian Terrell's like arguably the best player in the secondary, so it's like it's gonna be tough. It was always gonna be tough without him, but hopefully this is the last game they have to be without him. They got a bye week here, and it seems like their idea to just rest him up and not try to rush him back is probably a good one here. But yeah, I mean, we're going to keep going about the defense and the rest of this team, guys. A lot of donations. Thank you guys so much. We got Painful Quandary 8181 with the Australian $3.
Let's go.
I was going to do a terrible Australian accent, but I'll save that for later. He says, this is worth getting up at 3 a.m. for. Caw, mother. Yep, we know what you mean. We got Ryan H. with the $5 saying, Elijah Wilkinson deserves a shot to start. Even after Norton comes back, he's done a hell of a job on the right side. I think he's gotten a lot more comfortable. And I do think, I don't think you bench him at this point. I think it's going to be really nice to have Storm Norton back just because, look around the NFL, tackles are dropping left and right. Joe Alt left for the Chargers today, and that team collapsed. And
look at the Tampa Bay Bucks offensive line.
Oh my God. Yeah, those guys are getting ravaged. The Panthers lost Chandler Zavala today, so now they're down to a practice squad guard. Vikings. Yeah, they lost 3 linemen this morning, I think. Crazy. Yeah. So getting Storm Norton back will be great just for security purposes, if nothing else. But I agree, you're not going to mess with the chemistry of the O-line and pull Elijah Wilkinson, I don't think. because it's just not necessary. Now, if Wilkinson starts struggling, then obviously you're going to insert Storm Norton. But I think at this point you just let it ride, because I think the chemistry with the run game on that right side has started to really tick up now that Wilkinson's getting more comfortable playing tackle again, and they're having some time to grow there on the right side. So that good call out there, Ryan. Wilkinson deserves his props. If we're not talking about Elijah Wilkinson, that's good. It's a good thing for him. So shout out to him.
And watch the touchdown run. Him and Lidstrom just wiping people out. And
oh yeah.
We were talking before about the short yards issues. Do you notice? I don't know if it's a tendency, but I don't think the Falcons are running enough to the right side. I think at times they're running more to the left or through the A gap. Like, I don't know, on these short yards runs, you think they should be targeting the right side more? Because Lidstrom is always getting a movement, and Wilkinson's proven to be capable.
Yeah, I think Wilkinson is like the second or third best run blocker right now. I think Matthews is just not quite as impactful there as he has been in years past. He's still fine, but he's not really a people mover. And like Bergeron, I think, has still not really taken that next step as a run blocker. So yeah, run right. Like, just do what you were going to do with Caleb McGarry. Wilkinson, I think, is showing that he's an above average run blocker and a passable. He's like McGarry light right now, and that's fine. That's, if you can get that from your like guy that you converted from guard like 2 weeks before the season started, you're gonna be very happy with that. It's another shout out to Dwayne Ledford, who rolled with the punches, kind of made a controversial choice to convert a guard, not the one that people were calling for, not Matthew Bergeron, Elijah Wilkinson, and has gotten like starting caliber play out of him. So props. We got Brian Anthony 614 with the 5. Thank you, Brian. Says, guess the coaching staff heard last week's show. Best podcast going strong. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. We got Alex Foster with the 5 saying, every time Xavier Watts gets an int, Kevin gets his wings. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna start. I should have like a counter in the back. We can track them. Yeah, I was gonna do the math. Like I was like, oh, I wasn't gonna slander Richie Grant because he's a UCF legend, but I was like, man, I wonder like, does Xavier Watts have like the same number of picks as Richie Grant now through like Xavier Watts through 4 games has 2. I think Grant had 2 as well total. So,
you see how many yards he made up on that play? Because I think the Falcons were, I don't know if they were in cover 2, but
it was cover 1, I think.
Short. Cover 1, yeah. And then he just covers like at least 25 yards. And I believe D'Alford did get beat there. So Watts covered up so much. And like that range is what they've been missing. Justin Simmons clearly aging, didn't provide last year. Richard Grant was just consistently targeted, man coverage, and I don't think his awareness skills are all that great either. So like Xavier Watts, I know he had the missed tackle, and there were a couple of plays in coverage you wish he could do better, but when it came to the big moment, he shined. And I think just getting that player next to Jesse Bates was so crucial for this defense. And he's been great so far.
Oh yeah. No, I was really mad when he got hurt on special teams. I was like, we can't be doing this. Like, we can't. And Jesse Bates was playing special teams at a certain point in this game. It's like, we can't do this. Like, somebody has to stop Marquise Williams from doing this.
They're healthy defensively. Like, are there any injuries besides Terrell?
Well, they lost Natrone Brooks, who I think is a core guy on those coverage teams, and then Mike Ford got a little roughed up, but he came back. But yeah, I think Jordan Fuller would probably be playing that role, but he's out. I think Helms is already playing a role, so it's like hopefully I think it's because of injuries in the safety room that they're like, well, the safeties we would have had playing here, they're not available. But yeah, I mean, they got to figure something else out because we can't have Watson and Bates.
Daryl Hodges out too.
That's right. That's the big one.
Yeah, that's gonna be a miss there because he's a special teammates. By the way, thoughts and prayers when Trump goes away. That was scary.
Yeah. I'm was happy to see that he was able to get up and walk off, but that's terrifying moment. And Brooks worked so hard to be here. Like, I mean, he's a guy that had to come up as a UDFA, was playing some safety, was playing some corner, played outside, played inside, just really worked his way into like a key reserve and like special teams role here in Atlanta in his like second season. And I hope he's okay. You know, I think it seems like a bad concussion. I hope he's going to be all right. But yeah, hate to see that. And it's just unfortunate, you know, those hits to the side of the back of the head, just those are the worst ones. You know, they're really, you can't really protect yourself. And yeah, it's brutal, brutal game. So hopefully Natrone will be back soon. He's got a, they don't need to rush him back. They got a bye week. Hopefully all will be well there. And he's able to get back on the field. Coming out of the bye, We got let's see, Painful Quandary again with the Australian $8. What's up? What's up, Australia? Says, man alive watching. Honest to God, play action was chicken soup for my middle class soul. P.S. Bijan isn't human. Yeah, I don't know what Bijan is. He's like some kind of super person. Those jump cuts are not natural. That's talent right there. You don't see that every day. I liked how they described it. He looks like he's skiing. Like he's just sort of like one way, the other way. Like, and I was like, man, if he's not skiing, maybe he should be. He looks like he'd be a natural. So
he's just in that groove, man. He just runs with such good pace. Like we can talk about the vision, the balance, and just the way I don't know. I forget the DB. Maybe it was Amos, but just the idea of tackling Bijan Robinson high, like it's just not going to end well. Like the Falcons running backs today, both of them, just anytime a bad angle was taken, anytime the placement was a right tackle, they were going to punish those defenders, and it wears on teams. And just the way Bijan, it just seems like he's operating at a whole other pace, and he just reads like the defenders' movements, and he just evades. Like Bobby Wagner, he made look silly a couple of times.
Yeah.
So it's just you're just in awe at this point. You run out of superlatives to describe Bijan. You want to call him the best running back in the league? I think we should just do it at this point because what he's doing on the field week in and week out is just indescribable.
Yeah, it really is. He's clearly a special player. He should be the engine. Like when you have a player like that, yeah, he's your Christian McCaffrey. Everything goes through him. Every play should have him as an option. Like you should run him as much as is reasonable. If he's just going off, you just stick with him. And yeah, he's clearly an enormous threat. I mean, he's doing wide receiver stuff now. And I know Arthur Smith tried to throw him into that as a rookie, and I think that was too much for him. It's not too much for him anymore. I love the pace, like his route pacing is advanced. He's got great hands. He's going up for the ball. He's a much better hands catcher than he used to be. You know, he's got great yards after catch instincts, which you would expect. But he has just really continued to transform his game, and I think he's making a clear case to be the best running back in the NFL this year.
And so I think it's long overdue that we see him utilizing those bunch formations because he could just be such an asset. You just want to get him the ball in space because if Washington just wasn't prepared for it. Like I don't know if they were expecting him to run more of a vertical route, but the way he just sits on it and then just once he accelerates, once he gets the ball, he gets going, and it's just these are the subtle ways you got to get on the ball because it's just an ideal game plan. You want Bijan to touch the ball at least 20 times a game through carries and receptions. And I just love the fact that Zach Robinson, he knows he has to make it a priority, and you got to get him on swings, screens. I think they could get a little better in the screen game. But they need to do it today. So you're not going to play on something that it's not needed, but just at least keep making a priority. Get him 4 or 5 targets a game because you just know you want Michael Penix to get those high percentage looks. And I thought for a good majority of the game, he had those high percentage looks. And I think that's one of the best indicators of offensive coordinators' performance is when the quarterback is not only efficient, like I think Penix completed about 70% of his throws, but I thought a lot of the looks were high percentage as well.
Yeah. And you could just, like, I would like note here, like, the Commanders came out, and really like tried to show cover 2 and were rotating out of it a bunch, which is what you should expect to see like teams do against Bijan. And Penix was much more prepared for it this time. He did not fall for it. He seemed to be pretty cognizant of when they were going to cover 1 or rotating like to cover 3 or something instead of cover 2. And just seemed much more decisive against it, much better off. And, the one thing again is like, I think the Falcons were a little too gung ho to just run into like 8 to 9 man boxes. Like you do have to be able to do that sometimes. Like I'm not saying you can never do it, but it was like every second down, it was just, we're going to run into a stacked box. And you just need counter punches. Like you need to mix it up a little bit more. You need to keep the defense a little more on their toes. I do like that they were willing to throw a bit more out of pistol today. That's great. It's just like the teams are going to sit on the run until you make them question whether they can do that. And I still think that's the one weakness is the Falcons just have their tendencies to run on certain downs and in certain situations that teams are very keyed in on.
It's that wide zone. But you mentioned counter, and look at the touchdown run with Algier. It was a counter. It looked a little awkward at first. I'm just like, oh, this might get blown up.
It was a little awkward.
Yeah, and I think Algier's just overall talent made the play work more than maybe the blocking, because there were times I didn't think the blocking was all that great. I just think the talent of Bijan and Algier was able to shine through. When you have players like, there was one moment Algier, I think in the fourth quarter, turned like a 3-yard loss where Frankie Luba was in the backfield and he was about to wrap him up, and Algier evaded and got 4 yards. So there's teams in the league that are really struggling in terms of running back talent. Like, you watch a team like Dallas or Houston, and just like they don't have any starting caliber players. Falcons, it's a huge plus in to have these two in the backfield where they're not only maximizing carries, but they're getting even more yardage when it's not necessarily blocked for them. So
yeah. No, they can make, like, both of these guys, Bijan especially, they can make you pay. Like, if you overshoot into the backfield, he can make you pay. Like, he's not going to get, like, he doesn't get distracted by the trash coming in. Like, he just knows where to go, and his patience is just absolutely critical. It's really just enjoy every minute we get to watch Bijan Robinson here in Atlanta. I'll just say that. But we got Ryan H with the 2 saying Wilkinson deserves to start after Norton returns. Yeah, I agree. We got Furball with the $5. What's up, Fur? Welcome back. Saying, so just curious, how come we didn't throw the ball on 3rd and goal on the last drive? Would have been a 2-possession game. Other than that, Falcons win. Cut D. D's been fine, all right? D's had to step into the CB1 shoes, all right? Like, this is way higher than any expectations I had. D deserves his props. He's been a serviceable starting, like, outside corner. So I'm not going to slander D. Alford in this case. But I think the Falcons were playing very conservatively at the end, and I think it was reasonable to keep running the ball there. Would I have liked a tight end leak or something? Yes, but they weren't, like, close enough that that's necessarily a guaranteed touchdown. And you don't want to give Washington any time on the clock. Like, you want to limit it as much as possible. And look, a chip shot field goal gets you to a 2-score lead. It's just one of those situations where the downside is, like, bigger than the upside. Like, the game doesn't, like, super change if you get that touchdown. I mean, it would have been nice, don't get me wrong, but it's still 2 scores, and it's still a touchdown and an onside kick is, like, the bare minimum. This is very unlikely. I think running the clock there, not risking a turnover or anything weird, and making sure you're going to keep it a 2-score game. I think that's would I have liked to see a pass on 3rd and goal? Yeah, I would like to see, like, a misdirection play or something, but I don't necessarily disagree with being conservative there in that spot.
It's a fair critique, but I'm surprised to talk about them not finishing the game. Like, the defense didn't have to make a stop on the final drive. Like, the offense, they kneeled it down. When you were able to kneel it down, you finished the game.
Yes.
They got the onside kick.
They did.
So to me, they finished the game perfectly fine. Would you like to see them a little bit more aggressive there? Sure. Like, especially given how much success they were having with London and Pitts. They could have maybe dialed something up, but I just think a little too much nitpicking there. Then this team had a terrific drive. Both Pitts and London made unbelievable catches. That catch by London on the hour out. Oof. We want to talk about the hand strength and the body balance. Unbelievable play.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Drake London had about 4 moments that you're just like, yep, that's the alpha receiver. That's the Drake London we know. And when he's playing with that energy and he's just taking on defenders and just getting him the ball in space after the catch, let him go to work. It's a huge tone setter. Like, every offense needs to have a tone setter. He's absolutely a tone setter.
Yeah. I just love to see it. Falcons had 200-yard receivers today. Big part of that obviously was the Bijan catch and run for huge yardage, but Pitts comes in with 70 yards on 5 catches and a touchdown. Love to see that. And this is, like, with Darnell Mooney clearly shaken up and they end up holding him out of the game. I'm sure that was precautionary given that, they were up, I believe, 2 touchdowns at the point where they officially ruled him out. But, I think the Falcons are kind of having to pivot around what they came into the season wanting to do. I think there's been a clear, like, emphasis on Pitts and a de-emphasis on Ray McCloud in the passing game, which I think is necessary. Ray's a fine wide receiver 3. He's just not really, like, a plus there. Pitts is a much bigger plus as your 3rd target. I'm glad he's getting those targets now. And, like, with Mooney struggling, it seems like Bijan's kind of taken over the number 2 receiver role. They've kind of converted him into, like, a true kind of do-it-all guy. I certainly hope Mooney is back and is able to get healthy. Hopefully this bye week will help him. Because I think when Mooney's on, like, this can be a devastating passing attack. And Mooney did have a nice catch today. Like, don't get me wrong. That was a nice 15-yard catch. He totally, like, that was a great stop route. Just, bam! The
So
cornerback
smooth.
went like 5 more yards after that. Great route.
Stop on a dime.
You know, he just needs to get on the same page with Michael Penix, and I hope that he can get healthy. You know, that shoulder injury, you can play through it. It doesn't necessarily affect your athleticism, but it affects everything else. It affects your ability to get off press. It affects your ability to go up and make catches. It's harder to come down to the ground with the ball because it's so much pain. Like, it's just a pain management thing, and it's not easy to fight through that. It's on the back of your mind on every snap. Like, it's just, I'm hoping he can get healthy here, and be good to go for the rest of the way.
It's also good Casey Washington's healthy. He had a nice catch, and
good to see him back.
Make some timely plays because you need that receiver depth. So he could be a good contributor. That's great because I think more Casey Washington snaps, less David Stills would be ideal.
Yeah. The one thing Washington doesn't have is like deep speed. That's kind of the one thing you're missing when Mooney's out. But good hands, physical receiver. Is clearly has a good connection with Pennix, is able to kind of figure out what's going on. They seem to have a clear connection. So that's a good thing to have from like your wide receiver 4 type of guy. Just not very dynamic, and I think that's, you know, one potential upgrade spot going forward. I think the Falcons could really use like a dynamic wide receiver 3, as opposed to like a McLeod, who again I think is a solid wide receiver 3, just not overly special in any area. Doesn't really bring you anything as a blocker. So, you know, curious to see what that is. This is obviously the last year of McLeod's contract, and I think he's definitely played above his contract. But that is an area where we might see investment this offseason when the Falcons go on their spending spree post Kirk Cousins. So we'll see how that goes. But we're pushing that off. We're not into offseason talk. We survived. We're 2-2. All right, everything's okay. Crisis averted. Maybe that should have been the title of the show. Crisis averted. You know, but. Let's see. We got some more donos here. Thank you guys so much. We got Solera with the 2 saying, don't know if offense good or DQ defense sucks. It's offense good because the Commanders defense actually pretty good. I will say they were the number 9 run defense going into this game, allowing just 3.7 yards per carry. So the Falcons finding a way to run the ball against them. Very impressive. They're a little bit easier to throw against. I believe they're like 23rd in net yards per attempt. So they do have some, they're a little bit easier there, but in terms of like scoring, they're a little bit better than the Falcons. They're 19 points per game. Very good scoring defense, 12th. Falcons are 13th. So definitely not a pushover defense in the slightest. So this was an impressive game.
They're not ultra talented, but they have a lot of bodies up front, a lot of good veterans. They've been generating a good amount of pressure. I think Frankie Lou, who's one of the more underappreciated players in the league, he's like a Swiss Army knife. He's kind of like their Kate Nelson in a way, just maybe a little bit more athletic. I think the secondary is a little creaky, but no, Washington defense, they're not a world beast, but the Falcons offense, we need a point where it's just like, okay, this passing game exists. Like, okay, now they can throw in the middle field. They're taking deep shots, finally utilizing play action. And it's just, we've been waiting to see Drake London, Kyle Pitts at the peak and see both of them just thriving. Like, this is stuff like, let's not fixate over the quality of opponent. We just want to see the execution. You just want to see Michael Penix back confident because he was shook last week. So overall, all encouragement here. Let's not look at the caliber opponent. You want to look at the caliber opponent? Look, you're going to get it against the Bills. Okay, we'll see in 2 weeks. Okay,
the Bills looked very mortal today. For the record, the Bills looked very mortal today as they struggled to put the Saints to bed. So, not saying anything for the future game, but maybe the Bills are not unassailable. They're still going to be heavily favored.
Top 5 team.
Oh, they are absolutely one of the best teams in the NFL. But they can have a bad game, and maybe that bad game can be against us, Alan. So that there's always hope.
They're very light up front, and maybe Ed Oliver's back by them. But the Bills can be run on. Like, I don't want to do a whole game preview, but if you want to talk about ball control, I don't want to use the word ball control of the Falcons offense, but if they're going to win that game, they got to do what they kind of did today when it comes to dominating time possession. I think that was one of the bigger things to note on. I think at one point, the Falcons had the ball for like 19 minutes, while the Commanders only had the ball for 10 minutes. So go on those long drives, and it just comes to running the ball. So
it does.
And go on see Josh Allen on the field.
Yeah, exactly. And like outside of last week against the Panthers, which was heavily helped by the Falcons missing a field goal on the opening drive, they've been lights out on opening drives on defense. Like I think they did a 3-and-out on every single opening drive except the Panthers game. They did it again this week. That is very, very helpful. If you're going to take the ball first, Shut him out, you know. I would still prefer. I'm just a defer guy. That's always been my strategy, you know. But if you're gonna take the ball first, you score and you go three and you force them to go 3 and out. I mean, that's okay. Like I will allow that. But yeah, just the defense. Just even in like a game where they didn't have their best performance, I still think they're far better than anyone was expecting. And I think the defense will be an asset to this team, which I think we weren't really sure about going into the season.
Also, they made the plays when they need to. I know it's not a cliche, but you look at that third down stop on Yamada and Dorless. Dorless had some moments. He's quietly becoming a contributor, and Onyemata looked rejuvenated. I said there were 2 positives coming out of that Panthers game. Kade Ellis played his heart out last week, and Onyemata had about like 3 impressive stops against the run. So he looks kind of rejuvenated, and then Dorless is getting more snaps. I like to see some more from Arojo. I feel like he's been a little quiet, and I do feel like the interior got pushed around a lot of times. But at least just getting the quality of depth between Harrison, Dorless, Arojo, they're starting to find their feet. Because, look, they still got to gain experience. For the most part, they haven't really seen extended snaps in their career. Maybe Harrison a little bit in late 2023. But these guys got to get used to playing 25, 30 snaps if needed. So I think that's at least gaining more experience could help. But, yeah, that front four, I got to see more, though. Yeah, I think that's like the huge red flag. It's just I didn't see anything from Pierce, Walker, or even Ebiketie or even Floyd. Like I feel like a lot of Falcons' pressures were just due to schematically or Washington Blue when their assignments.
Yeah, Pierce had some pressures. I think he overran Mariota in a crucial moment. That's just a rookie mistake. You got to be a little more disciplined than that. I thought Walker had a great game, mostly against the run, but he also had a great pressure on Mariota at one point. But he shut down a couple plays. And he did play
one run. I got to look back into it.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'm not Alan. You didn't memorize every down and every snap after just a live watch. How dare you? Yeah, no. We're gonna rewatch it, guys. I'm not expecting anyone to remember every single play, but I had a more positive take on Walker. Pierce was a little bit. He's dealing with that groin injury. It's lingering. I'm sure that's affecting him. But kudos for him for gutting it out. He's been getting out there and playing his snaps. So. We got a lot of donations. We're working on it, guys. Thank you guys so much. We do appreciate it. Jason Gaines with the $2 saying, nice to see Atlanta beat the Command Skins. That sounds weird. Get a much-needed revenge win over Marcus Mariota and Dan Quinn. Yeah, I hope that's a long and quiet flight back to DC. Also nice to see the rest of the NFC South all lose today, especially the Bucs. Yeah, the Eagles almost blew it, actually. But Bucs turnover luck, Baker's turnover luck finally ended and threw a pick to end the game. So, Baker has committed, I think, 10 turnover-worthy plays and has 0 turnovers. That is not going to stay. That team is going to have a harsh reckoning, and they're just decimated with injuries. Like, they lost Greg Gaines today with maybe a torn pec, who was like one of their most stalwart guys outside of Vita Vea on the inside. They're already down Kalijah Kancey there. Emeka Egbuka's awesome, so my fantasy teams appreciate that. But like Mike Evans is down, Godwin's I guess back, but still limited. Wirfs is back, but they just had so many other injuries. It's just it seems like they can't catch a break. So the Falcons really got to capitalize here and start to, obviously probably not going to capitalize against the Bills next week, but just get back on the horse. And maybe we can see the Bucs kind of slump a little bit here while the Falcons are resting up, and we can have a chance to take the lead in the division coming out of the bye. So
I feel like you're in a chaotic game every week. Like every Sunday this season, the Bucs are involved in some sort of madness. Or Monday night, I should mention with the Texans. But that's gonna be the main competition. It's just with them. They're just so battle tested. Like with the Bucs, they built that infrastructure where it's just. They deliver more times than not, and look, they played against Super Bowl champs today, so you can't hold it too much against them.
No, and they've battled super hard despite their injuries, so they're still going to be a tough out each and every week. I mean, I have no doubt about that. But Baker's taking a beating. There's no doubt. All right, we got George Costanza with the 2. Saying, let's face it, we faced Marcus Mariota. He's a 2-pack of ass. Wow, okay. He's barely serviceable. I disagree with you, George. I think Marcus Mariota is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL in this scheme.
Focus on the offense,
yes.
Please. We're focusing on offense. Like, scoring more than 30 points should be celebrated. Like,
Mariota for the Commanders, I think has won all but like one of the games he started as a backup. And it's because the infrastructure of that offense is good enough that you can kind of plug in a guy. Like, he has a very similar skill set to Jaden Daniels. He's not as good as Jaden Daniels. We know that, but I think that's the perfect system for him. I think he plays that scheme well. And yes, he's not going to be as sharp as Daniels, and he's not as good as a runner, but they put up 40 points last week. This is not a pushover. They're like the number 2 run offense in the NFL, even with Mariota. I would put more respect on Mariota in that scheme than you're giving them credit for. But George also adds he thinks Arthur Smith would have this team at 3-1 or 4-0. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think Arthur Smith is saving this offense. And as much as I have questions about Zach Robinson, his scheme is still more advanced than Arthur Smith's scheme ever was.
Aggressive negative takes. Sheesh,
yeah.
Like, you just
George, like all of us,
cylinders.
yeah.
What a buzzkill! Like,
yeah, George is very scarred from last week, and I understand, George. That was probably the grossest game that I've ever had to watch, but in recent memory, at least. But I I'm done talking about Arthur Smith. I mean, like, I'll dunk on him from time to time. Don't get me wrong, but Arthur Smith squandered the talent on this offense for 3 years. I don't believe he'd be doing anything of note with this Falcons offense in 2025.
12 highlight reel plays from the offense today. Like, savor it, enjoy it.
Savor it. Yep. Gotta enjoy these dubs. We don't. After last week, we were like, "Oh God, are we gonna see another dub?" You know, it's like, yeah, we got one the very next week. So,
how do you think Terry Fontenot's feeling right now? He's like, "All right, I drafted all these guys. They're scoring touchdowns now. I can finally celebrate." Like, he must have been smoking cigar a week 2 after seeing every rookie from this defensive class make a huge play. So it's just taking the moments, not just the victories, but I think these victories have been in style. And I thought today was a good style win. Like, look, the defense not play well. It is what it is. But that Washington defense was at full strength, and we need to see something from this Falcons offense going to what's likely going to be a shootout in prime time in 2 weeks. So we needed that encouragement. So that's why I just focus on that.
I agree.
I don't see how you can really dwell on too much negative. If you want to focus on the lack of pass rush or D. Alford, fine. But I just think with this offense, it was as enjoyable of a game as we've seen in a very long time.
I agree. It was very nice offensive performance. Great bounce back. They absolutely needed to have this. We got Ray Moon with the 2 saying, "Don't love the scheme offensively, but we won." Yep. I mean, the scheme has room for improvement. It definitely does. We'll probably get more into that on like Tuesday takes when we kind of look at, some of the situations where I think they could have done things differently. But you put up 37 points or whatever it was, like that. You can't spin that as a bad game, no matter what. Like, could it have been even better? Yeah, but like they got shut out last week, guys. Come on, like, dude, putting up 30 plus after a shutout. I'm gonna take that every day and especially on Sunday. So
Penix completed 8 passes of 15 yards or more, and majority of them went to London Pitts, and I think majority was also through air yards. Other than maybe the wheel route to Bijan, I felt like for the most part, a lot of those throws were in intermediate to deep areas of the field. It wasn't just off the yap. So I feel like a lot of Penix's throws were earned, and that's what you wanted to see. Him in command, throwing anticipation, and accurate as well. Like that, the touchdown on London, we haven't really talked about. Like the way he just locked in and threw that ball. Right? I don't even think London was at the top of his route yet. Like London was still in the process route, but that's just the rhythm they have. And just like those timing plays, I think that's what got people so excited last year with Penix, because him and London, especially that Carolina game, they were just totally in sync. We haven't really been in sync so far this year. So this is the first game where we really saw them connect, and that's what's going to help build this offense into becoming hopefully a juggernaut. Besides Bijan Robinson, we need to see Michael Penix and Drake London in unison, and you saw completely today.
Yeah, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, those guys I think are going to be the big ones we have to see, especially if Mooney is still banged up. Speaking of Penix, George Costanza coming back with some positivity with the $2 saying, Penix did really impress me, especially on the final drive, 3rd and 4, 5-yard scramble for the first down, then finds Kyle Pitts on 3rd and 8 for 22 yards, another first down. Big time throw. That's the stuff we didn't see last week. Yeah, Penix had a huge bounce. But again, I think everyone like panicking about Michael Penix. That was his first like legitimately bad game. Like he had some very mid games and he had some great games. This was his first like dumpster game. I think just I get it. It's 0-30. Okay, we can all do, like, if we're gonna doom, we're gonna doom after that. Like, trust me. But again, this was his 7th game now. So like, let's just. I think we've all treated Penix like far too much. Like, I don't know how else to say that, but like, we're not thinking of him as a guy in his like 7th start. We're treating him as like a 2nd-year quarterback that's like ready to hit the ground running. Everything's good to go. And like, he probably deserves a little more patience from everyone, including the coaching staff. And also deserves to not have training wheels on, right? And I think that's what we saw against the Vikings. The training wheels were on. They didn't really take the training wheels off against the Panthers. That all looked at as saying, no training wheels this week, Allen. So much better there. And yeah, I'm just happy to see Penix with the confidence. I think that's, you can't limit him. Like, I think against the Vikings, they really wanted to just drill into him. Like, we just can't make mistakes this week. We just got to keep the ball on the ground, and we're going to outlast this team. We believe in our defense. We can outlast them. And that kind of I felt like it kind of lingered into the Panthers game where he just felt gun shy. And we know there were communication issues, and maybe there was technical issues as well. So maybe it's, again, too harsh to judge. But this week is what we should see from Penix. Like, he's a gunslinger. Let him rip it. Is he going to make a mistake and just miss a corner every now and then? Yeah. But the best QBs do that. Baker's thrown he should have thrown 10 picks at this point, and he hasn't thrown any because he's gotten lucky. But like, you take the good with the bad with gunslingers. But if you crush his confidence or tell him he can't rip it, that's when you're doomed. Like, he's not a game manager. He's going to rip it. Let him rip it. So
or unnecessary checkdowns. Like, I couldn't recall a bad checkdown against the Panthers. Yeah. He had 3 unnecessary checkdowns. One results in a pick 6. Today, his eyes were downfield, and I just thought also his pocket navigation was much better. Like, he was actually moving. Last week, he was not moving whatsoever. You mentioned great point by George Costanza with the scramble, but even in the pocket, like, there were times where Washington, because I thought a lot of Washington's pressure came through like the B gap on the left side. Like, I didn't see Penix get much pressure from the blind side. And he either stood tall, got the ball quick, or his footwork, he showed better footwork in terms of evade the pressure. So big kudos to him there, and that's what we want to see. He just looked more loose. Like, we don't want, like, when Penix is rigid, like it was against Carolina, you saw how much it negatively impacts the offense. Today, much more loose, and the explosive plays were firing all cylinders.
Yeah, no, it's great to see it. This was the bounce back we needed to see, so I'm so glad it didn't take long to get it. We got Jason Gaines with the 2. D'Angelo Malone should be cut based on that play on the punt. As Bill Parcells once said, dumb players do dumb things.
Gotta get Bill Parcells quote in there.
Yeah, great Bill Parcells quote. In D'Angelo Malone's slight defense, he was pushed into the play. He wasn't like intentionally. He was like in contact with a Commanders player that was directly pushing him into the ball. I'm not sure exactly what he could do there. He just got demolished on that block. I think that's a great play by the Commanders player, personally. Like, I was really pissed off at the time, but if you watch the replay, he's not running towards the ball intentionally. He's, like, engaged in a block, and he can't just, like, abandon it. So, I think that was a great heads-up play by the coverage guys. And, yeah, it was very scary, but I mean, ideally, Malone wouldn't get just absolutely rocked on a block where he's just getting pushed like 15 yards into the kick. That's bad. But I don't think it was like a bad decision on his part. Like, he has to engage that block. He engaged that block well before the fair catch or the bounce was called for. So I give him slight pass. Just a slight pass for that. But we got Michael Scott with the 5. What's up, Mike? Says, finally saw Falcons W in person. Feels good. Absolutely. Love to hear it. Glad you could get a big dub in the stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. Christopher Ireland, now a channel member. Thank you, Chris.
Can we give him Michael Scott a shout out? Thanks for listening to the show as you're leaving the stadium.
Yeah, that's what really a champ. Cool. What a champ.
I gotta give him a shout out for that because he could be doing some other things right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, shout out to Mike. We met Mike at the Falcons fan party at Firemaker as well. Drove, I believe, 8 hours or more to come to the fan meetup. So shout out to Mike for that. True long-term supporter of the show. So love you, Mike. And we got a new supporter of the show, Christopher Ireland, joining up with the channel members. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. We got George Costanza once again with the 2. If this team doesn't make the playoffs and they do have to clean house, I'm going to beat the Joe Brady drum. Imagine what a competent play caller could do with this team. Any halfway good OC could make this offense top 5. Well, I like Joe Brady. I'm open to discussing that if this does go sideways. I'm still hoping it doesn't go sideways personally, but that will definitely be a big discussion is what can we do with this offense to get this firing if it doesn't fire like it should. We got 2 from Chris Ireland. Thanks again, Chris. Says, indecisive or inept, Raw had no clue already the clock before the half. I assume you're talking about. I think it's indecisiveness. I think originally he wanted to play it out and just let the clock run. And then after the fact was like, oh, now I want to go for it because I have Pennix. And it's like, I need you to like be on the same page with yourself before that happens. Like, you either want to be aggressive or you want to be conservative. Don't try to be both in the same sequence because it's going to lead to problems. Like giving Penix 20 seconds to try to get in field goal range. Like, yeah, you got 2 timeouts, but that's too much. Like, don't do it. So, I think it's just indecisiveness. You got to have more conviction.
You usually want to analyze every situation for what it is, but just based on the team's identity, like they go forward without hesitation. Like I just know Raheem Morris to be aggressive. So for him to be conservative, indecisive there was very surprising just because it just in the team's nature. It's just, oh, it's 4-2, we're going for it. Like we're going to be proactive here. So for him to not be on the front foot there and wanting to try to get more points was surprising. But I do want to emphasize, though, I want to look at every situation separately. But this situation is just, the opportunity was there, especially going against a backup quarterback, and your offense clearly was in rhythm. So, and I think you want to see your young quarterback be put in these 2-minute situations because we haven't seen Penix do it that much. Ironically, he did against Washington the first matchup last year, and he shined. So I think you just want to put your quarterback in more opportunities to gain that experience. And look, this team, they want more opportunities the better. They're ready to produce these big plays, so get them on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's see it. I just want to see them just be consistent. Like I like the aggressiveness in general, and I think they've been more aggressive than not this year. But you just need to be more aggressive taking that time out if you want to go that route. And just need to see it. That's all. Got Alex Foster with the 5, saying, I saw Pitt score and cheered at work. The customer who was there was surprisingly accepting of it. Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's got Pitts is scoring touchdowns. I mean, it's good vibes all around. No doubt about that.
It's a national celebration when college
scores. We love it. Love to see it. We got Zach Dixon with the 5 saying Bijan might be the best all-around back in the league right now. No kidding. He is balling. I agree. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's been doing some great stuff, but Bijan's had to deal with a lot of adversity. As like the sole like running back for the Falcons, like that's doing anything in some games. But I think he's absolutely in the conversation for the number 1 running back in the NFL at this point. And I'm glad that the national media is sort of like arriving. I mean, there's been a lot of like preseason talk about him being good, but it feels like because the Falcons have been mediocre that they just kind of are like, yeah, we're not really going to talk about Bijan because, the Falcons aren't good enough. But hopefully the Falcons can be good enough that the NFL at large will talk about him this year. That's what I'm hoping. We got Ice Trey 3110 with the $2 saying, what did you think of James Pierce and Jalen Walker today? Yeah, we kind of talked about this. I think Jalen Walker was good, especially as like a run defender. JPJ was kind of quiet. I think he had a couple of pressures, but overran Mariota on one play. That was kind of a rookie mistake. So I think they were solid. I think Walker was better, particularly as a run defender and kind of just jack of all trades player. But yeah, I would have liked to see the young edge rushers like finish some sacks, but I think they're both playing like well. It's just at not finishing as much as you would like, and JPJ is still hurt. He's had that groin injury. He's been limited basically all week for the past several weeks. Just hope he can. Hopefully, the bye is what he needs to sort of get over that. He could just kind of rest it up, and we'll be back to full strength going forward. So.
Bye week couldn't be coming at a better time.
Yeah.
We were all not thrilled about early bye week, but this team definitely could use a bye week.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is you usually hate the early bye, but this is a good situation for the Falcons here, who have just had total whirlwind over the first quarter of the season. We got Wesley B. Brown says with the $3, nice win, balanced offense. Have a nice day, Quinn and Mariota. Yeah. Have a nice flight nice flight back to Washington, taking that L, out of here. Glad we could finally beat Washington. It's been a long time. The Falcons have had a bad streak of losses against the Commanders. I think going back like 5 years, 6 years.
They lost in like a rainstorm in 2022.
Yeah.
They lost obviously last year. What was 2023? Oh, that's like I think Ritter threw 3 picks. And that's one of the most infamous Arthur Smith gifs I remember. I don't know. I can't describe it. I just remember you type in Arthur Smith GIF, and it just there's one I think like him with the playbook. He loved that playbook.
Oh man, love it. Got Love Dogs Avery with the 2 saying shout out Charlie Morton, legend. Yes, I heard that Morton came in and pitched today for the Braves to close it out. Shout out to him, legendary career there. We got Chris Ireland with the final $5 saying, nice to see Bijan excel as a receiver. Flashbacks of prime LaShawn McCoy in the passing game. Yeah, I mean, Bijan's approaching that level where I think he's a legitimate threat as a receiver, and you can even line him up as a receiver. That's such a boost to this offense, especially when you have another running back that you can really threaten with in Tyler Algier, and you can afford to play Bijan at receiver and not really hurt your run game too much. So it definitely opens up some interesting opportunities for this offense in terms of the personnel they can deploy.
And think about what they could do with him in motion, because he commands so much attention. Like, he's going to have defenders chasing him if they're playing man, and that can just open things up, whether it's underneath or vertically. So we know he's a walking mismatch, but just the possibilities you could create with him lining up, put him in jet motion or do like a flywheel or a stop motion. Like, there's so much creativity there, and hopefully Zach Robinson continues to tap into it. Like, because I thought that wheel design was just masterful, like, and the execution couldn't have been better. And like, that's the type of schematic stuff you need to see if you're going to produce explosive plays. You can't just bank on your talent all the time. Yes, Drake London can run an awesome double move and beat Marshawn Lattimore. It's great. Or Bijan could produce a phenomenal run. But there's times where you guys scheme it up. We see the best offenses do that. So hopefully this was the launching pad that Zach Robinson needed, and he stays on the field for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how that helped, but it definitely seemed to help. So glad to see it, and we'll hope that it continues to work out here for these Falcons. But anything else you want to touch on, Alan, before we wrap it up today? I think this team, kind of more meta. I mean, I think like 2-2 is just, it really is crisis averted. 2-2 going into the bye. That's what we were hoping for. This was a tough 4-game stretch. Unfortunately, they lose the division games, but they do win 2 games against possible wild card opponents. So not the worst thing in the world to get the tiebreakers over 2 teams that you could be fighting for a wild card spot.
Exactly, because you think about, especially in their divisions with the Eagles, Lions, and Packers, like, I think those 3 teams are positioned to win their respective divisions compared to, say, Minnesota, Washington. And let's not forget, like, Falcons played 3 playoff teams in their first 4 games, and they're going to have another one next. So it has been a difficult start this season, even though, look, it obviously benefit no Jay Daniels, and Terry McLaurin, of course. But look, every week the matchup comes, you got to be able to capitalize on it. And I just think the way this offense truly played at their maximum peak is the best takeaway you can come from this. Like, that was a full strength Washington defense. And I think that should be the focus, not, they won just because Daniels didn't play and McLaurin. It's like, look at the Falcons look ready to win a shootout today. Like, I would love to see if Daniels and McLaurin would be ready for a shootout, maybe, possibly. But that offense, we're going to watch a tape of that, and you're just going to be more and more impressed by what they put together. And hopefully it just gives them, like, this should be the standard for them going forward. You didn't see many penalties. You saw the big shots downfield, and just the running game thriving on all cylinders. So, yeah, I'm hugely impressed right now. And I think I'm going to be – I don't know about you, Kev, but I'm going to be counting down to that Buffalo game. Like, I highly anticipate that game just because we know how dynamic Buffalo is. And who knows, we might get like a 41-38 game. And I think it'll be cool to see the Falcons offense compete. Of course, we want to see the defense do better, but it's just that Bills offense, like you talk about, a true juggernaut. They are that, and it's going to be a very formidable challenge seeing how the Falcons fare against a certified Super Bowl contender.
Yeah. This is a game that they had to have, regardless of who the Commanders are playing. It's a really well-coached offense, really well-coached defense with a lot of talent on it. And, to go out and have that sort of response on offense is exactly what they needed to go out and just let Penix get his mojo back. I think that was really important. They accomplished that. They're able to get all these weapons involved. They're able to get the run game going against a really tough run defense. And they're just able to stop the bleeding from last week, turn the page, get things pointed back in a positive direction. 2-2 going into week 4 is totally fine. 1-3 is a very different story with the Bills coming up. Now going into that Bills game, I think you can play a lot more free, play a lot more loose with that. Know that you're going to be a big underdog, but that like you don't have to win that game. You just give it your all, see what you can do. Like this is a great test. How do you look against a Super Bowl contender? Go out there and try to win it. The Bills can clearly be beat. I mean, we saw the Saints give them a game, and they can be beat. Their defense is vulnerable, but it's going to take everyone playing well. It's going to take a great game from the defense, and it's going to take all 4 quarters because the Bills, even if you can get them on the ropes early, like that is a team that will never be out of it, ever. So I'm excited to see that, but I think going into the bye at 2-2, this is what I think reasonable fans were hoping we would have, and I think we're in a pretty good position at this point, even though you would have preferred to have those 2 wins be the division games.
Well said. And look, Jeff Ulbrich has had success against Josh Allen in the past. Now, the difference is those Jets defenses were top 5 caliber units that the Falcons don't have a Quinn Williams. They don't have a Sauce Gardner. So it's probably not the most ideal comparison, but I'm excited to see what Jeff Ulbrich could put together because so far he's not up against some good offenses, but now you're going up against a truly prolific unit that can torch anyone. So I want to see what Jeff Ulbrich could bring to the table because we're seeing the blitzes, we're seeing very good variety of coverages, no real communication breakdowns. But now it's just like, okay, because you're going to have to dial up some stuff. So what do you have in your tool bag? Because it's pretty clear he did some soul searching this offseason. He's not relying on the same old scheme they learned with Robert Saleh. He's kind of diversifying it up. And now these are the tests that he was brought in to do. Like, this is why the Falcons hired Jeff Ulbrich. So, I'm already anticipating. It's going to be a long 2 weeks, but it's good to feel excited about Falcons football.
Yeah,
which could be an episode title.
Right, yeah. I think I called it The Offense Strikes Back. I was going with the Star Wars ref, but there's a lot of good titles for this one. There's a lot of good titles for this one.
That is far more exciting and less generic. So.
No, it's okay. It just, we're going to keep that one on the back burner, though, because this team, I hope this team isn't the roller coaster ride they've been so far. I think mostly we've seen good play from the defense and some offensive struggles, but typically the most recent data point is the one that is the most important. And, the team being able to bounce back from a tough shutout and go out and perform against a good defense, get things back on track. That's really important. And now they just have to continue it. We can't get complacent. We can't get, too up or down. We need to now treat this game against the Bills as the showdown that it is. Like, go into this game thinking that you can beat the Bills because you can, but don't get too down if you can't, right? Just go out there and show you can go toe-to-toe with a Super Bowl contender, and we'll all come away from that game feeling pretty good. And if you can get the upset, then we're all going to be feeling great. So, I think it's one of these games where it kind of feels like you're playing with house money, right? Where it's like, no one's expecting you to beat the Bills, but if you do beat the Bills, then all of a sudden.
It's kind of similar to the Chiefs Sunday night game last year.
Yeah.
Going to week 3.
They played great in that game. Yeah.
And it's super exciting for the city to get a primetime game against one of the NFL's true best teams because the Falcons have been off primetime for so long. So it's cool that the city will have that to look forward to. It's like, okay, a Monday night game. A little bit earlier start, too. I think it's a 7:15 start because they did a doubleheader. Mm-hmm. So, hey, that's a nice benefit. Don't have to stay up super late. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, I'm excited at the fact that the city has up because I feel like a lot of the Falcon primetime games have been on the road. So it's going to be cool. And I know San Francisco's will be on the road. Then they got the Germany game against the Colts, which looks like another appealing game based on how the Colts are playing. So I'm excited that the city has something to really look forward to because these are the matchups you have to get up for. This is exciting. And it's cool how it's kind of connected because the rest of AFC East is, let's just say, below average to be kind.
Yeah.
So this is like the one AFC game. To be the fair, Colts is going to be fun too, even though that'll be that's a Germany one, right?
I think so. Yeah. Berlin. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think, we'll see how the Falcons respond. We'll see how they can fare against these Bills, and then the 49ers after that, and then they get into sort of the softer middle part of their schedule. So if they can steal one of those next two games, be 500 going into the soft part of the schedule, we'll be in good shape. And we'll have to see how things develop, because we're talking about 3 weeks away at this point to really know maybe. But I think the team's record going into that sort of middle part of the schedule there will tell us a lot. Like, I think if they're above 500, we're feeling great. If they're 500, we're feeling fine. And if they're below 500, it's kind of like, that's not great. But, this is kind of a gauntlet at this point. So they won one game here against the Commanders that they kind of had to have going into this gauntlet. If they can find a way to steal another one before the soft middle of this season starts, then we'll be feeling real good. So let's see if they can get it done. But guys, we want to thank you all so much for joining us here on the Falcaholic Live Falcons vs. Commanders Week 4 post-game show. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. You could leave a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice if you haven't done that yet. That really helps us out. Also, if you want to support the show, join the YouTube channel memberships, or you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/Falcaholic and then, shout out, of course, to FanDuel for presenting today's show. Shout out, of course, to my co-host, Allen Strk, at Allen Strk. Allen, anything else you're working on you'd like to let the people know about?
Definitely be right about the offense this week. That's all I can say right now.
Yeah. A nice positive article for once about this offense. So, I didn't think that those would be hard to come by this year, but, maybe September is a weird month for football, especially offenses. It can be kind of a liar. So we'll hope that the Falcons' offensive struggles in the early part of September were the mirage, and the strong close is the sign of things to come. That's what we'll hope for here. I'm Kevin Knight of Falcaholic. Kevin, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time on the Falcaholic Live. Enjoy the rest of your football Sunday. Enjoy your bye week. We'll be back all week with our typical schedule of shows, but no game to preview, obviously. So taking it a little bit easy late in the week, and then we'll be right back on the horse for Week 6 primetime matchup with the Buffalo Bills. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for hanging out, and we will see you. Have a great